Yo, we are back here with another interesting game. This is one that I just played, and I wanted to make a couple of videos about this for a while, but I've been finding the right opportunity to make these videos can be a little bit tricky. But as you can see, our starting hand is kind of meh. I mean, this Long Sparrow is pretty okay. Butcher Bird is interesting. Song Sparrow is interesting. Stella's J is also somewhat interesting. Tree Sparrow, not interesting. So we have to pick between these four birds. What are we going to keep? And, well, what we're going to end up picking is the Song Sparrow. And it's not usually a bird that you want to end up playing. Like, migratory birds are not very, very strong on Oceania boards. I don't know about base boards. I don't have enough experience to say anything about that. And we'll take Viticulturalist here, much, much better than Backyard Birder. But we will kind of explore how you can really leverage migratory birds to really, really strong effect. Because while they're not good on Oceania boards, they are not like an immediate write-off and you should just forget about them and never play them. They do have a place in the game. And hopefully we can demonstrate that in this game. Well, I know we will because I just played this game, so we can talk through kind of the thought process. So the first thing I like about migratory birds is that if you don't have any draw power, always contingent on not having any draw power, you can play them into the wetlands and then move them out of the way. So if you find, let's say you draw a white-throated dipper, right? Oh my god, we suddenly have amazing draw power. Normally, if you've committed a no draw power bird to your wetlands, you have to lay eggs and then play the dipper. And that can be a little bit annoying. Sometimes you also have to take food, which really cuts down the efficiency that Differ offers you early on in the game. Or it could be anything. It could be Great Crested Grebe or whatever. It could be Ready Duck. We're going to make a mistake here. That should have been the Stella's J. And I'm a little bit mad because if we go back, you can go back a tiny bit. Watch the mouse. Watch the mouse. It's hovering over Stella's J. Stella's J comes up and Song Sparrow gets played. I mean, my fault for playing too quickly, but it also means we use the nectar. I wouldn't have spent the nectar here, but oh well. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. But yeah, it allows you to move it out of the way and play that wetlands bird without having to take eggs, and I think that offers a ton of flexibility in the hopeful eventuality that you find something good. So that's one reason I like them. The other reason I like them, and we're going to see it in this game, is that you can set up. It can give you a really strong tempo advantage by accessing later columns early. And what I should have done is I should have played Stella's J and then taken the extra seed and then played Song Sparrow into wetlands, but we didn't do that. We accidentally played the Song Sparrow. But we'll end up playing Stella's J into the forest as we originally wanted to, and then we'll, flip the tray with the excess food and see what we can find. But yeah, so the advantage of the migratory birds is gaining access to these stronger column actions, and there's kind of two layers of column actions. So playing a bird in the first column and playing a bird in the fourth column are the two most impactful places you can play a bird. This is very obvious because you can see you go from 1 dice to 2 dice, or 1 egg to 2 egg, 1 card to 2 cards, or 2 of the resource to 3 of the resource. So often getting access to column 1 is very, very powerful, so that's where the Song Sparrow jumping between habitats comes in. We'll take food here, get the extra food, and we're aiming to flip the tray, right? That's the game plan. And the other thing is that we can use it to gain access to the fourth column, because it's easier to get 3 birds into a column, but it's difficult to get 4 because of the egg cost. What we're going to do here is we're actually going to recognize an opportunity. We have viticulturalists, so we want to get fruit birds. Now, Silver Crested Cockatoo is decent points. Maybe we don't activate its ability all that often, maybe once or twice. Not really using it for its ability, but our opponent gave its Kinglet from the Tragapan, which is actually going to work out really nicely for us. So what we can do is we can pick up this Cockatoo, move the Song Sparrow to the grasslands, lay eggs, double play into the Cockatoo, lay eggs again on the Song Sparrow, and move it into column 4 at the end of round 1. We could also put it in the wetlands. We can talk about that in a moment. But that's the advantage of these migratory birds, especially with the play another bird in the ruby-throated geez, I forgot the last name. But the double play bird, that allows us to really set up a really strong gain access to that extra food resource well in advance of our other player, even though they've got the Tracker Pan and are able to get infinite eggs, basically. So that's kind of the principle. Like, you want to be using these migratory birds to unlock either the first slot, or unlock column 2 or column 5, basically. Ruby Crown Kinglet, there we go. By getting them into column 1 or column 4. So now we have a decision to make. So we don't draw first in the next round, so I think the probability of us finding anything good and that there is anything good in the tray to be quite low. Because if there is something good, our opponent will take it, and then we have to rely on them revealing something. And if there isn't anything good, our opponent's not going to do anything with the tray, and they'll take food or whatever. So we'll go and move our Song Sparrow into the forest. If there is something that comes up that we need to pick up, we can always spend an egg off the Song Sparrow to pick that up. And I think that's a pretty reasonable trade-off there. We have plans to play this Green Heron into the wetlands to kind of compensate for the Sparrow. But the other thing with these migratory birds you always have to be keeping in mind is, where is my bird going? Like, how am I moving this bird around? How do I bring it back? Bringing it back is legitimately one of the most difficult things. Because if I, for instance, put the Song Sparrow into the wetlands, maybe I don't want to draw again for a while, or I need to draw a bird and then get eggs to play a bird, or it gets kind of confusing. So really planning your turns ahead are so essential with these migratory birds. Again, for the amount of effort and thought process that these things take, they're really not worth it, but sometimes it works out. So now that we've got this really strong forest action, I can see this Lazuli bunting, and actually this works really well for us. Like, the end of round is birds with bowl nest. Our opponent has no bowl nest. I'm just checking that right now. We've got 3 of them, 4 if we have the bunting. So what we could do, assuming our opponent leaves it in tray, is we can take food, move the Song Sparrow down to the wetlands, gain access to that upgraded draw slot, take the bunting and a random, and then move the Song Sparrow back into the forest where we can then play the bunting. So we're kind of seeing how we're kind of planning our turns ahead, thinking ahead. How do we use this bird to the maximum efficiency? Really have to agonize over this decision here, actually, because there's only 1 nectar in tray, and it also contends against it competes for the Stella's J, because that wants to get a seed as well. So we're going to take the rat here instead of the nectar, or the fish instead of the nectar. It's a very difficult decision. I think either could have been correct, but we'll move back down into the wetlands, and we will skip the cockatoo. We could have activated it, but I mean, I think it's too early to be using this bird. I feel Sulfur-Crested Cockatoo is only really good when you kind of know how the nectar game is going to play out. Right now it's still very open, and giving them nectar will simply allow them to play birds, and we don't really want to do that. We want to constrict that as much as possible. Leverage our resource advantage while we still have it, because, you know, they'll get up to column 4 very soon, and also nullify that advantage. Our opponent's taking food, which is fantastic, which means you get the bunting. You might have missed it, but our opponent didn't draw the bunting, even though they did draw cards, which signaled to me that the bunting was safe and we could pick it up. We can take this red kite, not super interesting, but we'll keep it. And then we'll throw the Song Sparrow up into the forest again. But Say's Phoebe comes up, and this one is actually really also quite interesting. If our opponent is paying attention, they might want to think of denying this, because it's really good with what we're doing and really good with the end of round. But they've got Wood Duck. So, okay, Wood Duck is into the game. That's scary. We spend that egg off the House Sparrow, which we were kind of talking about at the end of round 1. We find the House Finch, and now everything's kind of come together. Now what we need to do is we need to play Lazuli Bunting, we need to move Song Sparrow out of the way, and then play House Finch. So I was alluding to it earlier, but one of the most difficult things with the Song Sparrow, or any migratory bird, is playing a bird in the habitat that it's currently in and then bringing that bird back. And so the habitat we need to send the sparrow to is in fact the wetlands, because we need to draw 1 more time. And that will allow us to bring the bird back. That's going to be really convenient for us, because on the start of round 3, we have priority over the tray. Like, we get to go first, we get to see all of the new cards, and potentially pick something up. So that's a great opportunity for the Song Sparrow to be redirected from the wetlands back to the forest. So, with all that said, we now have to execute this plan. So we can get the Lazuli Bunting into the game, then we take eggs, and then we take food, and then we play the House Finch. Like I said, these migratory birds are a lot of work. They really do not justify the time investment you get into them, but when they hit right, they hit right. There was an argument here where I could potentially take food here. I thought maybe taking food here was kind of smart, but I was also worried that my opponent would play a bowl nest here, and I don't want the bunting to give away that egg on the bowl nest. I'm expecting my opponent to play a bowl nest as one of their last turns into column 5 of the forest, and have the black stork give away the free egg to that bird so they qualify for the end of round. So I really did feel kind of a little bit of pressure to get something into the game. Maybe if I counted their food properly, I would have realized that wasn't actually possible. But it does put us in a bit of an awkward position now by not taking food earlier. Now we can't get the house sparrow. Now we need to roll the nectar to get the house sparrow into the game. And of course, we don't roll, so we don't hit. So now we have a difficult decision to make. See, my opponent's already got 2 nectar. I'm like, well, what are the odds that it's a 3-cost bird? So we move that sparrow into the wetlands, and we give out, everybody gets a nectar. That's going to allow us maximum efficiency to play the house winch, with the trade-off that our opponent now has 3 nectar. I am just literally gambling on the fact that they may only have a 2-cost bird in mind that they want to play. But in fact, it was the parrot crossbill, which is a 3-cost bird. So in the end, it doesn't actually hurt us because the forest nectar is basically already tied up. Like, we both have 6 apiece. I'm likely to win it. I just have to play a bird into the forest at some point with nectar to win that. So that's kind of nice. New tray. The catbird is a little bit interesting. I was kind of calculating whether or not that would actually be good, and I figured it wouldn't be. I think it's too late for that bird to have a big impact in this game. And, you know, my opponent's got, like, such great draw power and egg access with this tracker pan. Like, it's probably not going to do enough damage. So we're going to flip the tray, and we're going to find absolutely nothing, as is tradition. But then we're going to pull Roseate Spoonbill and Whooping Crane off the top of the deck, and suddenly it's all justified. Those are some pretty incredible pickups. Now the game plan is pretty clear. Red Kite is actually kind of interesting, because the Red Kite can be played on top of the Song Sparrow, so we got to keep that in mind. Says Phoebe. Super good with all of my bowl nests, but bad with this end of round, so we got to play that in round 4. Whooping Crane, Roseate Spoonbill, both super good birds. We want to play those. And aside from that, we've got our Longspur from the opening, so probably want to play that as well. So we've got 5 candidate birds and plenty of turns to do it. And the Says Phoebe will give us just enough tempo to be able to do everything that we want to do. Song Sparrow here, again, being very valuable, giving us that extra food without using a card. And now we draw a Grey-Headed Mannequin, which is a very interesting bird, because that is also another bowl nest. And so we have to think now, I'm thinking all these different calculations at this moment. I'm thinking, okay, Mannequin can play the Red Kite on top of the Song Sparrow as our last play, which means we don't have to worry about food for playing a bird with a Mannequin. That is incredible. So now we just need to get bonus Mannequin into the game, get our Longspur into the game at some point, and then we're laughing. Like, we're in a fantastic position. So I also start counting the eggs. If we do the 2 Wetlands bonus birds and the Mannequin, we have 1 egg left, which probably means we're going to win the end of round because of their Black Stork, which probably means I can get the Says Phoebe off also in round 4, and then that's just going to bring everything together. So everything's looking really great for us. The only complication in our plan is Says Phoebe laying an egg on top of the Song Sparrow, which will make it a little bit difficult. I've just got to make sure I clear that egg so that the Red Kite can just be played on top of it. So that's the game plan. That's what I'm thinking about at this point of the game. Well, right now I'm literally thinking about, do I give out this nectar or not? And I decide not to. I think probably the prudent decision. I mean, cards are going to be a little bit tight for us. We do want to be cycling things with this House Finch, so there's no urgency to give out the nectar. Does it actually change anything for us? Probably not. We can play the 3 birds that we want to play in whatever order we like, and we can do that. without needing to give out this extra nectar. So we're going to play our wetlands birds first to get the bonus birds in to see if that changes our game plan. And we're going to do Whooping Crane before Roseate Spoonbill because of Wetland Data Analyst, but we'll come back to that. Now we have a very annoying decision because we've pulled Wildlife Gardener. I think it's Wildlife Gardener, right? Yeah, Wildlife Gardener and Mechanical Engineer. And now I have to think, well, we're going to max Wildlife Gardener, so that's 7 points in the bag for free. But will we max Mech Engineer, which is 1 point better? And I count through all my cards, and I'm like, if I play this red kite, which we were kind of toying with anyway, it all works out. Like with the mannequin, the longspur, the red kite, and the spoonbill, we max Mech Engineer. So even though it's worth 0 points right now, we've calculated that we can take this. As crazy as it is. Unfortunately, we have this extra bird in the house finch that's also has a fruit in the cost. So even if we write over or even if the red kite is played on top of the song sparrow, we still keep the viticulturalist maxed. So that's all worked out really well for us. So very happy with that outcome. So now the rest of the game is pretty straightforward. Like we'll play our next bonus bird. We'll play Roseate Spoonbill. Oh, and we'll play one nectar here. We can see our opponent is not really going after nectar in the grasslands, so we can focus our nectar in the grasslands. And if we're going to do that, we'll spend one in the wetlands to qualify, and then spend everything else in the forest and the grasslands. Another difficult bonus card decision: Rodentologist versus Enclosure Builder. I'm thinking maybe I can max Enclosure Builder. We're going to get 3 birds for free. I then have to play something else to max that. But then I realized, hey, actually Rodentologist works with the game plan. That just makes the red kite 2 points better. Like, let's just take that and make our lives easier and simplify the calculations, basically, and that'll be nice for us. I did see the Great Egret come up on this turn. The Great Egret would have been a mega play for us because we could have taken it. We could have double played into something. Yeah. I actually still haven't explained why I did Whooping Crane then Spoonbill. Okay. When you're playing birds, you try to arrange them in such a way that you're going to maximize the most number of points you can get from any bonus cards you draw. So in this case, if I did Spoonbill, Whooping Crane is a massive bird. Very unlikely, if I hit Data Analyst, that I can get min bound off that. By playing Spoonbill, then playing Whooping Crane, then Spoonbill, I just have to play one smaller bird, and I could potentially get 3 points off Data Analyst if it came up, which it didn't. But you need to keep these things in mind. It's no accident often when players get very high bonus scores because they are thinking ahead and like, okay, there is the advantage that maybe this column is going to become a behaviorist column or something like that. So always things to be thinking about. And we win that end of round as we expected because our opponent has the Tragopant and the Black Stork, and they definitely don't want to stop doing those. So easy for us. The last end of round is eggs in forest, which is a little bit difficult for us, but it is something that we could realistically challenge for because we could simply lay eggs a bunch. We can lay 6 eggs a turn thanks to this bunting, and we could definitely max out eggs in our forest very quickly. But we have other things to be doing. We've got better birds to be playing. We want to be playing the Sace Phoebe. We want to be playing this Longspur. And we'll just see what we can do. So we're going to keep cycling, and we pull Trumpeter Swan. I mean, talk about your, like, very high point, maybe you're actually worth playing birds. Trumpeter Swan is definitely on that list, and now it's created even more headaches for us. Like, how on earth do we kind of make this all work? Can we even play this red kite anymore? Does the red kite still make sense? And then I'm thinking, actually, if I play the red kite on the Song Sparrow, like, how am I going to win the nectar in the forest? Because we need to play a bird with a cost in order to get that extra nectar spent in the forest. So we've got more complicated decisions to be had. So now I've got more candidate birds that I want to play. But I'm not so unhappy about this. I'm thinking, okay, worst case scenario, what if we just move this Song Sparrow down to the wetlands and play the red kite without playing it on top of the sparrow? Is that crazy? Maybe that's crazy. And I was like, well, that seems like a pretty interesting plan. Should we do that? Because there's plenty of ways that we can, you know, play this out, but how can we do everything that we need to do? And so I decide, you know what, that is actually the way to do it. We should move Song Sparrow down, play Red Kite, and play this Trumpeter Swan with the Grey-Headed Mannequin. So how do we get that sequence going? Well, we need to play Says Phoebe. So now the next question is, can we play Says Phoebe now? Or do we want to take food first and then play Says Phoebe? Difficult decision. I think, and I believe this is what I do, we end up taking food. Also, this Trumpeter Swan plan, it also means there's no chance of laying eggs this round. Before, we were expecting that we could probably get a turn of eggs in and very much contend for that end of round. So we're kind of thinking that that's likely, especially seeing as we're going second in the fourth round, which means that we do have the opportunity to kind of quote-unquote steal the end of round objective. So if our opponent has like 5 eggs, we could be like, oh, actually, laying eggs is really beneficial for us. Maybe we should do that. But yeah, really thinking through all of the different permutations and how we might be able to do this, and eventually settle on, we will take food. We'll take the fruit nectar, not the seed nectar, so we can get the cash on Stella's J. And then we need to move the Song Sparrow out of the way so we can play the Red Kite into the forest. So to do that, we can't move it to the grasslands. It has to be the wetlands. Anywhere else means we cannot play Says Phoebe. So do not send it to the grasslands. Send it to the wetlands. And then, yes, let's give out nectar. I think at this point I was like thinking there is... Oh, sorry. No, first we're going to cycle, see what we find. We find garbage. And then we're going to give away the nectar. Because I was looking at the nectar tallies right now, and I was like, I'm going to spend 5 nectar in the grasslands, or as much of that as I can in the grasslands, and I'm going to spend 1 in the forest. And I don't think they can contend with either of that quantity of spend. So any nectar I give them at this point of the game, not to mention they have infinite food anyway, from all the food actions that they've taken, they're probably only going to be spending that in the wetlands, and if they spend it anywhere else, it's probably not mattering anyway. So this is where Self-Crested is kind of useful. We can play it later into the game, and once these nectar races are a little bit clearer, you can give out the nectar without it really changing the outcome of the game too much. So it still did a good job for us. We got 3 tucks off the bird. That's definitely a pretty good day at the office, if you ask me. 9 points, 2 food. Not bad at all. And of course, maybe this house finch looks a little bit funny, being, well, not worth that many points, but it's that intangible value of the card cycle. It's super valuable. But anyway, now what do we do? Now we have a choice, and I think it's basically, do you play Longspur or do you play Red Kite? And I was like, well, we just play Longspur. Maybe the bonus card changes our mind. Maybe there's something in there that's going to make us think differently, and it doesn't. We pull a maxed out bird feeder, typically a terrible bonus card, but almost all of our birds have seed as a cost, or our opponent has kiwi. That's not terrifying at all. But yeah, I mean, what could you want here? You got wood duck, eggs, cards, eggs, all in one habitat. So yeah, them finding kiwi is not really that surprising. They have such good card access. So we know they're going to be packing a very good bonus card, so that's unfortunate. And Benelli's Eagle, of course. What else would we expect from someone who has infinite card access? However, them playing Benelli's Eagle also means that they did not lay eggs, which means they're going to get 4 eggs. It's still fine, never mind, they still win, never mind. It was close. I mean, maybe if we'd done something differently, we might have been able to get the extra egg, but oh well. We get the Red Kite and we do lose the end of round, but it's not the end of the world. We Mannequin, and we're going to play the Trumpeter Swan. Nice big point final play. But the Red Kite was definitely worth it. Rodentologist, Mechanical Engineer, and getting the Nectar points. So let's see how things shake down in the final bird scores. It's going to be a little bit advantageous to them, only 6 points. Bonus cards, we were strong, but our opponent wasn't weak either. End of rounds, pretty even. Eggs, pretty even. Food on cards, slight advantage for us. Tuck cards, also quite similar, but nectar is where we win things. And so, yeah, very, very close game. They had maxed out platform builder and very, very, very maxed out winter feeder, which is kind of funny. So there you have it. A really fun and interesting game involving the song sparrow, migratory bird. Very difficult to use bird. Not like, don't get me wrong, migratory birds are not plan A, plan B. Heck, there might even not be plan C. But if you do get them, and they are the best choice available to you in a game, this is kind of how you want to play them. You want them to, as quickly as possible, access column, and get them into column 4. The column 4 forest in particular. And then use its ability to jump between habitats to also be activating the column 2 power for the other thing. So getting the 2x, getting the 2 cards. And then moving it around as the game demands and thinking ahead. And if you can do all those things, then maybe the migratory bird will actually be really valuable. In this case, Song Sparrow was pretty instrumental to this game. It's not like we were doing much else with anything else. It was really the workhorse kind of pulling our entire game together, which is a rarity. I do have another game that features a migratory bird, and I think it's a very old game, one that I haven't really shared too much, but I might pull that up just as another counterpoint, another example to show how you can use migratory birds in OE boards. This predates Asia, unfortunately, but OE boards are still kind of fundamentally the same regardless of expansions. But yeah, keep that in mind when you're playing these birds. Hopefully this was illuminating, and yeah, we will catch you in the next one, which may be a migratory bird game, or it might not be. We'll see how I feel. See you around.